Villains. We just love to hate them, besides the ones that just genuinely suck. Hey! With Five Nights at Freddy's being an ongoing series, we have seen our share of villains. What are the ones worth talking about in depth besides Springtrap? Hey, here, duct tape your own mouth because you're not allowed to ask questions like that. Now, when I say villains, I'm not talking about the ones that are most of the animatronics. I'm specifically gonna dive into ones that have more of a personality or could technically be considered the villain of their game. In that weird description, I've gathered 7 total. Who's the worst? Who's the best? Hey, didn't I say put that duct tape on you? And the worst villain of the FNaF series is Lolzhack. Yep, technically I consider him a villain of the FNaF series, as you could stretch the fact that Freddy in Space 2 could be one of the arcade games at the Pizzaplex, but also because Lolzhack has a brief history behind him before appearing in the game. The first mention of him was back during FNaF World when there was supposed to be a Halloween update that was leaked by Lolzhack. Quote saying, I'm going to release it tonight at 6 p.m. CST. To talk me seriously, you sorry, I will post the link right here. Yeah, based on this text, you can tell this kid is going places. Places like spelling school. Thank you, I'll be here all week. Let's just say, hypothetically, there was some kid out there who really did leak this Halloween update for FNaF World. Is this really what you wanted to be remembered for? You really wanted to leak this low quality version when you could have just waited for it to be more finished? Hey, wait, this isn't the right clip. When I said briefly, I really meant briefly, as the next thing worth mentioning is his place in Freddy in Space 2. Lolzhack, at least in this game, stands for a logarithmic, online, LAN compatible, zero error, hydraulic, auxiliary xylophone. I think I'm just gonna stick to Fandroid's brother. Within the game, he kidnaps Freddy's kid, plus takes over his home base. He is the final boss, coming in 3 forms. This is his moment to shine, to show all the members of the fan base why he's the greatest. This is where you realize I'm using footage from another YouTuber since I didn't care to beat this game. After Freddy in Space 2, at most, he's gotten a brief cameo in Security Breach in the Phaser Blast map. Really, the only reason he's at the bottom is because of the fact I didn't beat the game he was in, and genuinely don't care to, but also because how could he compete against such amazing villains as... Alright, so funny story, we're still at the bottom tier, so you can't get mad at me? The Rainbow made her debut in the FNaF World 2 update, being the narrator of the minigame called Chica's Magic Rainbow. So what makes the Rainbow better than Lolzhack? Not all that much. Her being voiced by Debbie Derryberry is a major plus. Why isn't the Rainbow higher? Oh, you know! It's fine though. My psychiatrist says when stressed, just close my eyes and think of a better situation based on my surroundings.
Welcome to my happy fun rainbow.
It's Jimmy Neutron.
Let's start with something simple.
A very annoying episode of Jimmy Neutron.
I have faith in you.
Just stop! Just shut up! I'm now just realizing FNaF World is the one and only FNaF game that's made me cry over how mad I got when I was younger. I'm telling you all though, beating it was so satisfying. Something I could never even be paid to do again. For the poor unfortunate souls like younger me playing the game for the first time, we didn't realize she was in more of the game, serving as the big twist villain, believe it or not. The final boss where you face off the Rainbow gives you 180 seconds to take her down, who has 500,000 HP, making it the highest health boss in the game. Overall, I'd do 50-20 mode 50 times before I step foot in the minigame or see anything related to the Rainbow. It's fine though, as from what I'm aware, this is the only appearance of her, unless the wiki says otherwise. Capping off the non-canon villains, Dude is the final challenge you face when selecting the hard mode. If you were to choose normal mode like a bitch, you're met with disappointment after defeating the owl, which, wait, could this owl be considered the villain himself? Alright, Dude is popularly referred to as Scott Cawthon since that's really who he's meant to represent, which I'll now be calling him. Scott's boss fight is 100,000 HP, making it a cakewalk. I wonder if it's even fair though to call him the villain. Once defeating him, we're greeted with the text saying, okay, alright, I get it. Was this the ending you wanted? Coming all this way just to kill me? Was I really the villain in your mind? I just do what is demanded of me. I fulfill your insatiable gullets with more and more and more. And now here you are to show your gratitude. Well, congratulations then. I haven't brought the story to an end. You did. So, feel good about yourself for ending the story by killing the storyteller. You know, after hearing that, maybe we, the fan base, were the real monsters. Haha, nah, Tim. Talk to me when you make a real FNaF 5 case, Scotty boy. In terms of appearances beyond this point, we got the second update to FNaF World. I find it so cool that we're able to play as him once beating... Alright, well, never mind. Looks like younger me is the only one who can say he unlocked Scott Cawthon. Unless... That about wraps up the meh villains. I didn't really want to spend too long on these guys since they were a part of games that really weren't meant to be taken all too seriously. These next couple of ones are the actual meat of the bones, where I can talk about what works and what doesn't. Happy to say though, I've at least talked about the important villains in the joke games already. We're now entering the real villains of the franchise, starting with the obvious weakest being Vanny, who technically made her start in Help Wanted as a supposed person you're playing as named Vanessa. She would go on to get brainwashed by the Glitchtrap virus after collecting all the tapes and listening to the instructions, leading to what is considered the trapped ending, where Glitchtrap takes over Vanessa. Since we're on the topic of Help Wanted, there was a way to obtain the Vanny mask in the Dreadbear DLC, where you'd have to find keys to enter a basement. Putting on said mask causes the screen to fade black, bringing the player back to the title screen. Those were brief and were more planting the seeds for Security Breach, which was meant to be Vanny's time to shine. Emphasis on was. Yeah, everyone and their mother knows about the development of Security Breach and how the teasers plus first trailer were nothing like the game we got in the end. We aren't here though to talk about the game itself, so that's gonna have to be a story for another day. Instead, let's focus on the main antagonist who got 1 minute and 32 seconds worth of screen time. Yeah, let that sink in. To give the benefit of the doubt, maybe it was the short screen time that was actually really impactful. You know, less could be more sometimes. Vanny makes her first appearance in the game at 1 AM after the daycare section just kinda skipping around to, somewhere. Gregory points her out, yet Freddy doesn't see her. Later on, you get captured by Vanessa, and she skips around some more. Next, we got this part with Freddy saying he can't stop her? Wait, what? You just said you couldn't see her. Did the second win somehow fix that? What? Afterwards, she kind of just pisses off until one of the endings you get. One being bad where you escape just to be caught by her, one where you free her of the Glitchtrap virus, one where she gets her ass eaten, and the rooftop ending where the Pizzaplex gets burnt, then, you know, that happens. Plus the unmasking where the game reveals that Vanny was Vanessa. Who are you? You know what, that doesn't matter, this ending isn't even canon. Vanny ultimately is the weakest of the main franchise from what she could have been, as there really isn't much within the games to get excited about. Here's the crazy part though, I still like her. The concept behind a follower of William Afton is a great idea, so how do you fuck it up? By not using her at all. Is there really a big super fan of hers who will be okay dying as her #1 fan? Oh, well. Son, you are a trooper. Alright, let's see who's next on my list. Guys, come on. The Mimic is also a great concept, starting in the Tales of Pizzaplex series. To quickly sum it up, a dad named Edwin builds a robot for his kid, David, to play with while he works. This robot is able to mimic what the kid does, but after his son dies in a car accident, Edwin beats the animatronic out of grief. You can imagine being violent towards a thing that copies what you do isn't really such a good idea. So yeah, it's commonly accepted within the fandom that the Mimic's codes made its way to Help Wanted, taking the form we know as Glitchtrap. Glitchtrap in Help Wanted is so cool! I love the idea of a virus within the game that slowly pieces itself together as you make progress collecting the tapes. Man, what a wonderful villain so far. I wonder what the upgrade button would do. Fuck, go back! Yeah, within the lore, it's believed that Vanessa, once under the power of Glitchtrap, follows orders to get his virus code into an endo, thus creating Springtrap. This also creates a pretty mediocre boss fight in my opinion. It's such a slow fight, if you can even really call it that, where you press the button of where Springtrap is just to light him on fire until it just, you know, ends. Look at this thing walking. It's no wonder he's portrayed in memes as an old man who needs a wheelchair. Next appearance is Ruin, who was pretending to be the protagonist of Security Breach, Gregory. In Ruin you play as Cassie, a friend of Gregory, so the whole game you're under the belief you're saving your friend, but in the end it's revealed to be the Mimic. The part afterwards where you get chased and need to solve a puzzle with the Faz wrench before it catches up with you is so cool. I love the rush. Overall, the Mimic is great for what we've seen so far and can become greater in the Steel Wool era of FNaF. To me though, you can't compete with the Scott era of FNaF with its villains such as... Circus Baby is one of the coolest villains of the FNaF series. Her story is that she is possessed by Elizabeth Afton, the daughter of the creator behind it all, William Afton. William Afton specifically designed the animatronics like Baby to capture kids and murder them for reasons that is irrelevant to Circus Baby and its own can of worms. So for the sake of this video, what happens next is Elizabeth gets too close to Baby after William told her not to do that, then happens to her. This is where Baby goes from blue eyes to green eyes like Elizabeth. And since we're on the topic of design, this is where I actually have things to say, as I've always felt uncomfortable with the whole gaps in between the robots that can open to show the insides. Like in a good way, of course. Baby within the game, sister location, guides the player throughout the night, and you are meant to believe that she is trying to help you and is a good guy. She communicates with you quite a lot, which brings me to another big positive, Heather Masters, doing a stellar job. The way Baby whispers everything, especially in sections where you have to fix her, where messing up causes a loud jump scare, is perfect. The part where the twist happens is at night 5, where you're brought to the Scooper room by Ennard, who is all the animatronics plus Baby brought into one. Ennard, who would later turn into Multi-Freddy in the next game, isn't really enough to stand out on its own for me to consider when talking about villains, even though a fair argument could be made that it counts.
Oh, but you allowed Lul's heck on the list.
Yeah, back on topic though, once happens to you, Ennard takes over your body, but within the lore, Baby is kicked out of the body after wanting too much control over said body, becoming Scrap Baby in the next game. I love this design of her with the claws and added roller skates, while yes, are pointless, perfectly fits the character. Honestly, talking about this really makes me wonder why she isn't first, as there's so much to love. There seems to be more and more to love as she returns in Ultimate Custom Night with both versions of her, but more interestingly, would appear in Help Wanted with the minigames. Oh. You. Okay, nope, you're staying in second place. You're losing too. In my defense, who really was gonna be first place? Was he getting a little annoying near the end with appearances such as Springtrap? Yeah, but those have been retconned in a way in favor of those being... So what we're left with is FNaF 3 and Pizzeria Simulator. Before I dive right into those though, I want to talk about the man in the suit, William Afton. The idea of an employee wearing a suit to lure in kids and murdering them has always stuck with me as something that could happen in real life, you know? Before the idea of Remnant or the key to immortality being the goal of his, he was just a guy who murdered kids, just because, which honestly made for such a terrifying villain. The FNaF 2 death minigames he'd appear in were always unsettling to me, like the Foxy Go 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 where he had a big smile on his face, or the one where it contains the infamous "you can't" screen, implying you can't save the kids he's taken the lives of. His actions would eventually catch up to him though, with the souls of the kids chasing him, causing him to hide in the suit, which causes a spring lock to happen. This would create Springtrap, and now that I'm talking about it, the name itself is scary. The word trap is in it. William Afton is trapped in the suit, and in FNaF 3 you are in the same building with the mastermind behind it all. This game fully justified only having one animatronic that can kill you, as his presence is terrifying, plus the rare render screens you can get still send shivers down my spine to this day. So if you're unlucky and get caught by him, you're given this jump scare, which is seen as one of the worst in the franchise, and I can completely understand why. Even Scott agrees that it sucks. However, I think it's perfect for not what it was at the moment, but for what it does afterwards. Really think about it. The reason for FNaF 4 and onwards is because of this jump scare, so if it was any other way, we might not even have a franchise to talk about today. That could be seen for the better though with FNaF Pizza Simulator. Oh boy, what did they do to you? Honestly, it's so shocking how he went from one of the greatest designs to one of the worst of the franchise. He's now given a voice provided by PJ, which, you know, it's fine. Honestly, Springtrap is just, I can't. Everyone has made the Peanut and Jimmy Neutron jokes because that's really all this version deserves, to be laughed at. Since I'm talking about it, what is with the pixels? What is with the pixel designs? What was Scott doing in this game? Okay, I know this seems so weird to talk so negatively about what is meant to be the best villain in the series, but really what makes Springtrap the greatest for me was FNaF 2 and 3, which are so strong that I'm begrudgingly okay with the horrible send-off he would get in Pizza Sim. Then there's his appearance in the books, which like, suddenly those don't count. And those are the FNaF villains. Hopefully Steel Wool is able to continue with the Mimic, or heck, even create a new villain of the series that can rival Springtrap and become #1 in the fandom. Okay, dude, if you aren't gonna keep your mouth shut, I'm gonna do it for you. Get over here!